Alrighty, roller coaster fanatics, you've waited long enough, and it is here. My top 15 steel roller coasters that I've ridden. I also have a special placement for a certain roller coaster that I've recently ridden that I'll talk at the end of this video. I thought I'd let you guys know this. So let's begin with number 15, and that is... Here we go to start things off. Yes, Kingda Ka. So, of course, you can guess that number 16 is probably Top Thrill Dragster, and you will be correct. Kingda Ka I like more because it lasts longer. Yes, the lap bars are better, but when it comes to just enjoyment, I like having a longer lasting of enjoyment. And, of course, Top Thrill Dragster ends real quick, so that's why Kingda Ka is going to get it. I love the speed, the launch, and just the nice little hill at the end just to make the ride just a tad bit longer. Wish it would have longer, but still, it is fantastic. Alright, for the next several countdowns, we have B&M Hypers. It's just going to be straight up B&M Hypers. So here we go. Let's start off with number 14. Intimidator Carowinds is decent. The trims kill it though, that's why it's not as high as the others. I have experienced it when the trims are off, and it is phenomenal. However, when those trims on the airtime hills are off, they turn on more trims on the mid-course brake run. So even still towards the end, you're kind of just slugging through the rest of the ride. But the first half is great if the trims are off. The trims are on, not so much. I did get to ride a back row, and back row is definitely the best part to be on this ride. But it is rattly. So it's like, there's some good things about this ride, and yet some bad things about this ride. So, yeah, it's 50-50. Alright, number 13. Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure is a nice B&M Hyper. When I got to ride it 3 years ago, I enjoyed it. Front row, back row, you name it. At night, it is fantastic. I love the speed. That's what gets me every time I ride this, is the awesome speed. And I did feel some airtime on this. And the twister section was nice. I graded out a couple of times on that. I found this to be a decent hypercoaster, and I really love it. Next up, we have number 12. This is considered the most airtime on a steel roller coaster, and boy howdy does it do it justice, because it is amazing. The airtime is out of this world. Airtime after airtime after airtime after airtime. Although I would have liked during the twister session some forcefulness, but I don't really feel that. Also, it can be a little bit sluggish after the mid-course brake run, but it still keeps up with the airtime, which is phenomenal, and I love it. Next up, we have just barely missing the top 10, number 11. I've been riding this coaster for a long time. Apollo's Chariot was the first B&M Hyper to make it onto the scene of the world of roller coasters, and it proves that even then, B&Ms were still awesome. This thing has some nice floater, and towards the end, it gets a lot of ejector, like the airtime hill after the mid-course brake run, and what I call the double down. I don't know what you would call it. It kind of comes up, evens out, and then drops down, and then crests back up. And that section, you get a crap ton of airtime on the front row. It is awesome. And just the nice forces in the helix is incredible. This ride is just really fun. I will say though, towards the back, it does get a rattle to it. Finally, closing out our B&M Hypers. It's not my favorite because there's one more after this one. However, this makes number 10 and also ends out all the B&M Hypers that we just saw, and that is... Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia showed me what a B&M Hyper coaster can do that doesn't have to have a incredible statistics. This thing is looks short. This thing is not as tall. It's like barely 200 feet. It doesn't even have a drop even close to that height. But wow, the airtime is nuts on this ride. It's just ejector airtime from the start. And then you plant into that double helix was really cool. And what I call a triple down. It's not a triple down. That's just my naming of it because it is so cool. It's just the 3 airtime hills back to back, and it is insane ejector. So you of course turned around after the double helix and the airtime. You're coming back towards the park, and you just go airtime, 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 and then you plant into a bank turn to the left and end it. And wow, woo boy, that just made my day. All right, number 9 is going to have a lot of arguments. I love this roller coaster a ton. Trust me, it's in my top 10. This thing is nuts. I love this ride, okay? I mean, this ride is phenomenal. It's in my top 10. It's really hard to get in my top 10 nowadays with my, of course, steel coaster credit, or no, my total credit of coasters at 180. It made number 9. It is great. Millennium Force is a great roller coaster. It's my second favorite coaster at Cedar Point. It is fast. This thing just retains its speed, 93 miles per hour the entire ride. This thing feels like it never loses its speed, which is awesome. I love the drop. However, it's not really intense. I will say it's not an intense ride. This thing is just about its speed. However, I have felt some intensity on some of the bank turns. One of the bank turns, however, actually made me gray out twice. So that was awesome. And the airtime is awesome. But yes, like I said, this thing is just not intense. But it is fast, which is so awesome. And I love this ride so much. On the opposite of that, we have an intense roller coaster, number 8. Oh, this thing is so cool. Fannins Revenge is a weird roller coaster. First of all, it was aerodynamics. Now it has been refurbished from D.H. Morgan, and boy howdy, did they get a big one. This is a great roller coaster. Of course, the second drop is larger than the first, and the restraints are weird. It just is like this. It's just this long, a restraint, and it just goes down like that, barely over your legs. And wow, this thing feels like it's going to be rough, but it is not. Like, you know when you're on an aerodynamics roller coaster and you're going into the drop and you kind of feel that this thing is going to be rough? Well, that's what it felt like in Fannins Revenge. It feels like it's going to be rough, and then it turns out not to be rough. It's very smooth, very intense, and lots of airtime. However, it is short, which is the sad thing. It does feel quite short. Alrighty, number 7. Maverick! Wow, this thing is awesome. The launches are incredible. The drop is incredible. This entire thing is just so amazing with all the bank turns and the nice airtime. And the bank turns towards the end just already make this coaster easily top 10 because it is that fantastic. And Cedar Point and Intamin definitely did well with this roller coaster. Number 6 is what I wish other B&M coasters that go upside down were like. This thing is nuts. Kumba is, like I said, I wish other B&M coasters that invert go upside down, that have inversions. I just wish they were like that, because this thing is fast, it is intense. I mean, when is a time where a Cobra roll is fantastic? The Zero G roll, you fly right through that like it's nothing. And what's cool is even though you get a lot of trims, this thing is so compact that it feels like you haven't even lost speed at all. And you go through the corkscrews, and I'm not a big corkscrew fan, but oh my gosh. Corkscrews are awesome on this. Just this entire ride is fantastic. The fact that I kept riding over and over again because of how intense and fun it is, it just proves that this thing is incredible. And I smiled several times when I got off this ride. Alright, number 5, we are coming back to the Hypercoaster realm. Number 5 is... Good job, SeaWorld. Mako is a great roller coaster. The best way to explain this roller coaster is it is a mini Fury. It is great. The airtime is intense. Ejector airtime with a couple of floaters, and it proves some nice hang time actually. Because the mid-course brake line actually slows down, which does suck a little bit. The bank turns towards the end, you feel a lot of hang time because of how slow you're going through them. And this thing is just downright insane. Like, the airtime just blows my mind so much. And I love the drop in the first turn. I can't get enough Mako. This thing is awesome. And the theming! Oh my gosh, the theming is incredible. The fact that they put barnacles and like feeling that you're under the water on supports. That is so awesome. Wow, Mako just overall was a big success for SeaWorld. Wrapping it out with hyper roller coasters, we have at number 4. Sky Rush is definitely mixed. Got mixed reviews. A lot of people either hate it or love it. I love it. The restraints do not matter. I'm going to feel it, but boy howdy, it does not matter. This thing is intense, the airtime is insane, and what more can I want in an awesome Intamin roller coaster? This drop is incredible, and oh my gosh, I just love this roller coaster. It's so awesome. I will say the back does have a rattle to it, which was a little bit annoying, but other than that, Sting was incredible, and I love it. So fantastic. Alright, we are down to our top 3. Here we go. This was a shocker for me. I never knew it was going to be this high up on my list. This is a surprise for a lot of people. Number 3 is... Cannibal at Lagoon Park is a surprise because this thing looks great, but not fantastic. Like, this thing was incredible from the start. That drop is insane. Like, it goes under itself. 116 degrees. The steepest drop in America. And this thing just rocks your world. It's fantastic. It is up there with I-5 and Fury drops. It is insane. It lasts forever. And then just the inversions are fantastic. I mean, the Lagoon Roll. The Lagoon Roll. That thing is fantastic. There's so much hang time. And wow, this just, oh my gosh, this thing is fantastic. It is everything you could want in an awesome mega steel inversion roller coaster. Just overall, this thing is fantastic and I love it so much. They did such a great job with this. Alright, number 1, we gotta talk real quick. This is hard. There are a couple of days where I thought these two were tied. It is impossible. They will keep switching. But for the majority, this certain coaster stayed in this spot and this other coaster stayed in that spot. So here we go. Number 2 is... Fury did make number 2. It was number 1 in 2016 for a while. I even had a vlog about it. But now, as I'm riding it more and more, where I've gotten 22 rides on it, it's starting to, like, not be as a shocker as the next one still is. Still providing that fantastic. I mean, I love this ride. This thing is number 2. This thing is fantastic. It is so awesome. I mean, the drop is great. The speed lasts. The bank turns are nice. That rattle still bugs me. And even a couple people that have ridden with me do actually agree that there is a small rattle to it. I mean, like I said, it's not anything bad. It bugs me that a certain coaster that's 2 years old, a coaster of this statue, would have a rattle already. That's what disappoints me, is just knowing that fact. But it is just so awesome. The bank turns are amazing. The treble clef is awesome. I love the ride at night. It is so awesome. And this thing just blows my mind. I mean, they did such a great job with this roller coaster. And by golly, is it fantastic. Alright, you can probably guess what number 1 is. I do like this coaster a lot better. Intimidator 305 just overall gives me better smiles, and it still gives me that shock. every time. I always come up with a big smile. I mean, the fact that you almost gray out on this, or actually do gray out, is fantastic. The speed, like with some other coasters, it just never ends. The speed keeps going. And the intensity. I'm an intense enthusiast, and man, this thing just is just heaven to me. It is a dream. It is so cool. This is the Dream Coaster, and it is fantastic. Just banks after banks after banks. And when the trims are actually lightened up, which they do sometimes lighten up the trims, it is fantastic. The airtime is nuts. This coaster is just so fantastic, and I love it. That was my 15 steel roller coasters, my favorites. And now we come to the part where I did say I have to say something towards the end, and that is none of these cannot make my #1 coaster I've ever ridden, and I will talk about it. So my #1 roller coaster that I've ever ridden out of 180 coaster credits is... I mean, what'd you expect? After I rode this, so here's the thing. I first rode it, I was like, okay, but here's the thing. If you ever go to ride this, the first ride you'll be like, oh, okay, this is not bad, but it's not fantastic. But each successive ride is going to be phenomenally better than the last. This thing is so cool. Wow! The launch is fantastic. Each bank turn, you're going to get incredible amounts of airtime. The airtime is nuts. There's even a thigh crush element on this just because there's so much airtime. The quad down is amazing, and just overall, this ride is perfect. It is great. Even in the back row was great. A little bit rough. Not by all means incredibly rough. Just a little bit rough. But wow. I can see why a lot of people love this. This thing is incredible, and it is my #1 roller coaster I've ridden, period. It is still neck and neck with i305. That is the one where I'm basically having trouble, so it is also having problems with moving i305 in this, because the intensity is I consider the intensity on par. It is great. I have the same experience with dropping factors on both of them, and it is great. That was my 15 best steel roller coaster list, and also my #1 coaster that I've been on, period. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to check out the 15 best wooden roller coasters if you missed it. I'll put the link down in the description below. But don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome videos like this. Thank y'all for watching, and as always, roller coaster fanatics, keep coasting.